Hey there, crew. It's Mark from Men Who Bullet. Thanks for coming to hang out with me today as we continue along with our notebook series. We've been doing reviews for weeks and we've got more to come for you all the way through the end of this year, prepping you up and helping you find the right notebook or notebook system that might be right for you. Last week, we checked out Uglybooks, which was this no frills, mess it up, do what you want, make mistakes type of notebook. Very super creative. I can totally see you using those for like a sketchbook or something along the lines of that. This week, though, we're going to check out their classier cousin. It's called Word. They're also a pocket notebook here, but these are very different. They take a very different approach to organization, to getting things done. And what's cool is they actually created a bullet point system, not bullet journaling, but a bullet point system that helps you organize and track what's going on. So we're going to be doing a full review of these today and checking out how that bullet system works. So let's go ahead and get into it. Super excited to be checking these out today along with you. So these are the Word notebooks, 48 lined pages. Inside of here, you're going to find a little bit of a different type of system than we're normally talking about here. We're usually talking about bullet journaling, and there's some bullet information inside of here, but other things to come. Also, as a part of this 3-pack, you get a little insert here, which talks about the story of Word notebooks, specifically talking about the creators trying to find something that was stylish and functional, but also could take different ideas and put them together. And that's exactly what they did inside of here. You can check out more about Word notebooks at wordnotebooks.com. Also check out hashtag Word notebooks on the internets to see what other people are doing with these notebooks. So as mentioned on that belly band, these are made in the USA, 48 line pages inside of here. This notebook is 3.5 inches by 5.5 inches. The cover of this is going to be 100-pound paper, and then you've got 60-pound paper inside of here. Different than their cousin notebooks, the Ugly notebooks that were made to be a bit more rugged, right? That had 300-pound paper and 120 on the inside. So these are a little bit more functional on the go. You're not doing a lot of art inside of here. And I think that's for a very good reason. There's a functionality to this that I absolutely love. So let's go ahead and check out the inside of this notebook here, because it's more than just a pocket notebook with lines in it. There's a whole system. You have your name and your notes here. You can actually utilize this section over here so that you can figure out when this notebook was happening for you. Because there's only 48 pages, people tend to go through these type of pocket notebooks relatively quickly, which is fine. And you throw them and you kind of organize them and you can look back through them later on. So they have a system here for you and some contact information as well. As I mentioned, there's a bullet point system that they use, not bullet journaling. You could probably very much retrofit some of that idea inside of here, but this is kind of a idea or a way of using this notebook that they put together. So over here, you're going to see a large circle and then a large open bullet in the middle of here. So you've got your bullet point that's going to be in there for your task. So as you're thinking up some ideas, and we'll go ahead and write inside of here and kind of go through the motions of what this would look like, that's going to be your task. If there's something that's really important, then what they're saying is they want you to outline the outer circle of this. So with the bullet journal method, it's like an exclamation point or an asterisk that you use. In this one, you outline that larger circle. When you're starting to work through this, you're going to draw a diagonal line through it. And then when you're complete, you're going to exit out. So you're still going to get a lot of those visual notes that you do with bullet journaling, but it's all going to work within this bullet system. And you're going to see them on every single page as you go through here. And then the back of this notebook, it's really cool. They talk about some really cool ways to take notes. I've actually never seen some of these before. I do use some of these actually. Without is one that I use for like quick notes. But they talk about using a period to use the word the, i.e. that is, W with a slash with, I do that. V with a dot means very, I do that as well. That's so funny. I've like been doing this all along. And then they're like, hey, here's how you work with this. WI within, ST something. These 3 dots with a dot and then 2 below for therefore. And then if you do 2 dots and 1, that means because. This gets into some code stuff going on here. A slash for this or that, an arrow for causes which lead to. It's like a apostrophe and an F for after, a plus minus, give or take, over line last letter, minus ED. Interesting. Underline last letter dash ing. Oh, gotcha. So if you overline it, you put a line above it, that means that it's ED. So I started something or I am writing something, you underline the last letter. Skip vowels unless necessary. Oh gosh, the quick brown fox. That's That's going into some detail here. I don't know if I can keep up with that. All right. So instead of doing our normal pen test, which is like throwing like everything at this, we're not going to throw like paint or anything like that this week. Instead, what I'm going to do is just write with a few different pens that I've been using as a part of this. I do like to see how the paper is going to hold up against some of the more common pens that I use. So we're going to use the Jelly Rollers. We have the Sharpie S Gel Pen, the Uniball Signo, which I love, Vision Elite. We've got our Baron Figs. These are usually the ones that tend to go through the paper a little bit just because they're a little bit heavier. And then let's also include a fine point Faber-Castell for this week too. And then I'm just curious to see how it holds up with some highlighters. We don't have to do anything too crazy, just yellow and this blue color here. So let's kind of go through the motions of like a day, and we'll use the different pens as we do that to see what that looks like. So as I mentioned before, the bullet is going to be for a task that you have. So let's go ahead and say that I have a task that I need to call the vet, which is something I feel like I am doing more and more for our old 14-year-old Westie Daisy. All right. So call the vet for Daisy. So we're just going to do a bullet point on that. If it's something that I'm in progress of doing, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line through it. So let's say I called them and I'm making an appointment for her to go to the vet. That's just something to let me know that I've called or I've done something around it. Maybe I'm waiting to hear back from them on a date. If it's something that's going on for you, whether it's a note, let's say, or a task, they want you to outline the outer rim of this. And I'm assuming that if this was an important task that you had to do, let's say something that you wanted to get done in that day, I would go ahead and do that. And let's go ahead and say it's really important that I go to the post office. Now, I'm not using the code in the back of here. I don't know that I can do that. What would that look like? Don't use vowels. It would be like, go to, and then they said use a period for the, and then post office without using vowels. Post, I have to, office. I would not be good at shorthand. Let's just say that is what it is. All right, so we've gone through that. The vet has called us back. We've got our appointment for Daisy. We've gone to the post office. We've accomplished some things that we've had going on in the day. Let's go ahead and continue through. We're actually going to put a dot here. We're going to set up lunch with Tom. So I've got a note on there to do that. I'm just saying I got to do it. I'm not saying I'm doing it just yet. Tom and I have to figure out where we're going to go eat. All right, we'll use the Sharpie S Gel Pen. This tends to be a little bit thicker here, but this is a really important note. I have to call Mom. She gets so mad when I don't do that, so I really want to make sure that I'm calling her before she gets real mad at me. All right, let's go ahead and think about some other things that we have, some things that we have to get done this week. All right, so we've gone ahead and used a bunch of stuff on here. We have everything going down the line from different types of gel pens, Vision Elites. We had that Sharpie, all kinds of stuff. And then right there at the end, I decided to throw in some ink just to see what that would look like, whether it's a dip pen or whether I'd be using this in a fountain pen. Curious to see how that would work out here. And I also had to take a look at just like, again, if it came out of a nib instead of the tip of a pen, what would that look like? I have a feeling that fountain pen is not going to do too good. Just a feeling, and a good feeling. It didn't bleed through though, so it held on pretty good, and that was a lot of ink. Overall, everything's looking okay. There are a few pens that always tend to not do great. The Vision Elites from Uniball, they're very inky, so they tend to bleed through a fair amount here. We had that really dark blue ink that was put down with the dip pen here, so I wouldn't recommend that. And I don't feel like very often you'd be running around with a dip pen anyway, but what does it look like? The fountain pen, it definitely ghosted through. This is one of those things where I personally wouldn't love to use this because then I want to use this page and I can't because I can see what's on the other side. It is only 60-pound paper, so it's not going to be like super thick. But honestly, if I'm going to take a pen around with me, I'm going to be going with My ride or die, this guy will always work out. This is the Uniball Signo DX. That looks fantastic on here. The gel pen, if you wanted to try something different, did really well on there too. The Baron Figs both look good. More ghosting than some of the other ones, but not the worst thing in the entire world. Highlighters held up just fine, so if you wanted to take one with you for whatever reason, it could definitely work out for you. And I think this is very cool. Obviously, I didn't use a ton of this as I was like going through, but I like this idea that I outline that it's nice and bold. And then if I'm working on that project, I'm, working through it. And then when I'm done, I'm done. Like it has kind of a very fluid motion to it on how I would utilize something like this for myself.
It was really cool to see how these notebooks are working. Everything from all of the pre-filled bullet system that we talked about, and it's very easy to follow, nothing too crazy, but even the take better notes in the back of these notebooks, like what a cool idea. And if you're jotting things down quickly or you're kind of taking those rapid notes, this is a really cool way to maybe rethink about how you do things. I might actually be taking some of this into my bullet journal myself. I thought this was a really neat system, and I love these resources that they're giving you to do that. This is definitely one of those take your favorite pen and your notebook and stick this in your bag or pocket. This isn't going to be something you're going to create a lot of cool spreads inside of necessarily, because that really takes away from the focused vision or kind of the focused purpose of this notebook, which is tracking your task and getting things done. Because this is such a focused notebook, I didn't go into any type of extra deep inks or paints or anything like that. I did want to try out using a fountain pen, which works in here very nicely, as well as just using our normal ballpoint pen as well, which is, I feel like, kind of more what you would use with a notebook like this, right? This idea of taking that along with you, popping this in your backpack or your purse or your bag or whatever that is, and just having these notes ready to go whenever you need them. They fit right inside of your pocket, so I don't want to like overdo it or make you feel like, well, I got to take a bunch of stuff with me with these. No, there's a purpose, there's a function. Let's not stray from that with these notebooks. I appreciate you hanging out with me today, and if you have any questions or comments, or if you've used these notebooks for yourself, make sure to drop a comment in the descriptions below. I love having conversations with you down there and chatting through what we think could work, what might not work for you, and also getting your thoughts. I'll chat with you later on. Again, as always, happy planning, and I'll talk to you very soon. See ya.